Why do you want them to listen to your podcast?
So that when they think about starting a business, they've got the content that is pointing them in the right direction.
That is such a valuable piece of advice there.
The change in mindset makes a massive difference.
Welcome to Aussie Lawn Stars.
Brad, welcome back. We want to take a good look at some of the systems that you put in place over the last 11 years. Now, when you started with VIP, did they give you systems? Because I know Gyms does some systems, and I've been told off by some of the Gyms franchisees. They're like, oh, Gyms doesn't actually give you that many systems. They give you some, not that many. So does VIP give you a lot, or did you pick up a lot of it from the franchisee that you're working with?
No. So VIP at the time, they had their own in-house system, but it was very old school. You know, they come around with a CD and put it into your computer and download it to your computer. So it wasn't cloud-based.
Yeah, okay.
So the issue became when they stopped doing updates on it, which they did, you couldn't back it up. So if you lost your computer, you lost everything.
Oh no.
So, but it was such a shame because it was such a good system. It was basically like a cloud system where everything's automated, but it was just in a software package.
Yeah, okay.
Which
was that like a CRM in some ways?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was a CRM system, but it made things. Everything I'm doing now in the systems that I use, that basically did just in its own in-house system, but it just wasn't. I think they had someone in-house that did the updates and things like that, but then I think they might have left.
Yeah, okay.
And then probably after 4 or 5 years, they went away from that, and that's when it got messy and tricky because I found they went down the route of getting in cloud-based systems, but offering the real basic ones in part of your franchise package.
Oh, okay. And then you pay extra for the full.
Sorry.
So then you have to pay extra for the full system, or?
Well, no, they use Reckon Accounting. There's nothing wrong with Reckon Accounting, but it's probably one of the most basic ones out there.
Yeah, okay.
A lot of that system they had was also a very basic accounting package, but you could enter everything into it.
Yeah, okay.
At the time it was awesome, but if I looked at that system now, it wouldn't suit me what I need now, 100%.
Yeah.
But you could do everything in it. You could set up customers, it'd reoccur jobs, it would sort of just do everything for you, which made life a lot easier. But it would raise invoices, all that sort of stuff. Where when they got rid of that, they introduced another in-house system, but it wasn't automated.
Yeah, okay.
So you'd have to. You'd have all the jobs in your calendar, but then you'd have to reschedule manually the next job.
Yep.
And then you'd have to go to the accounting system and manually raise the invoice. So it was great when I was doing, 10, 15 jobs a day. It was easy.
Yeah.
But, as I grew and got bigger and was doing too many jobs a day, you'd spend 2 hours a day doing bookwork.
Yeah.
Which, using the systems I use now, I'm down to it's down to half an hour a day.
That makes a big difference, doesn't
Which I've outsourced within my business. So, but it's still, so the systems, like I said, they were always there. And I think as a franchise, they have to offer systems. That's why you pay a franchise fee. Yeah. And, it's been almost 9 months since I got out. So they might have introduced some new things. But there was systems there, definitely.
Yeah, okay. So one of the things, I think it's worth clarifying this, but just Gyms or VIP giving you a list of things to buy is a system in itself. Because it takes the thinking out of it. So somebody who's starting independently, they might go to their mate who's running a lawn care business and say, what equipment are you running?
Yep.
What's your trailer look like? Or they start looking around to see what they've seen in their neighbourhood to see what other people are doing. Whereas VIP's done some of that work for you.
Yeah, they have. There is a to-do list or a checklist of things you need, and there's stuff they supply you as well. Part of your franchise fee, your uniforms, even little things like secateurs and little things like that. They give you like gloves, just the little basic things that you may not know to get.
Yeah.
But probably the most inexpensive things they can package up together. But they were still little handy things. And the checklist of what you need to start. These are the tools you probably should be using. Not pushing to any brand. They weren't aligned with any brand. So it was more personal preference. And I think that's where they had the model of using the franchisee to train them, and then you pick up off them what they're using if you like using their tools. Because I think until you use the tools, you're not really going to know if you like them.
Yeah, okay. Makes a lot of sense.
So that's the model they use. Basically, they use more. Not they don't have like gyms having. They have franchises or they have area managers or whatever within the group.
Yeah.
I think where VIP used franchisees to be sort of those area managers.
Yeah, gyms will go down that path of having area managers or franchisors that cover a lot of those aspects.
Yep.
But yeah, I think looking at it from that point of view, those systems that are put in place can vary from the CRM system that they gave you through to, a checklist of things to start with. Another one that I see come up, and I think this is where it starts to get grey as to whether a franchise offers you systems that cover everything. If you have a staff handbook or manual on how to do things so that you can start going, okay, when I put on a new employee, here's what your expectations are. Here's the staff handbook so that you don't swear around customers and you know that there's a work health safety policy. And here it is, by the way, a full 500-page work health safety policy.
Which sometimes all that's just common sense, but you just...
It is, but it's not, because if you haven't done it before, then where do you get it?
And that's what I mean. I think I had that that's where I knew I had that sales background where I knew how to basically hold yourself, the little things about meet and greeting customers and how to approach them, even without, I've done a lot of quoting, you still had that confidence to speak to people in a professional manner.
But if you watch LMCA, that's the most popular place to get advice now.
Yeah.
The amount of people that are putting posts up about dumping lawn clippings on somebody's driveway or worse, spraying Roundup on their front lawn to get even with a customer that didn't pay them. It's like, clearly that professionalism is something which is not a given.
No, I think it's that's what I love and hate about this industry. There's so many good people, but then there's so many like guys that just have no idea as well. But I think it all intertwines together and everyone helps each other out as well.
Yeah.
So it's a very unique industry, which I love.
Yeah, it is. And I think LMCA has been one of those things that has absolutely changed our industry in Australia. It has made it so that it is easy to get that information for somebody who's starting independently or somebody who's started with a franchise, but they're trying to fill the gaps between what the franchise offers them and what they don't know.
Yep. 100%.
LMCA is a group pool of information, which means not just information, not just knowledge, but wisdom because of that group pool. And you'll find the average person on LMCA might have only been in business for 5 minutes, but because there's 7,000 plus people there, then you've got a collective of people that have 10 years, 30 years, 40 years experience.
Yep. I've never been, obviously, because I was part of the franchise, and I never saw a need for LMCA, but I always look up their website, especially the one in WA, because I find it's a good source, but you can find clients and equipment through them as well, which is also a good resource to have too.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, the systems that you put in place over time can make or break your business. And so when you've started with those basic systems, which, it's awesome that VIP started you with a CRM, because a lot of people start with, notepad.
I still know guys that use the job cards, and I don't know how they do it.
Yeah. Well, when I started, I talked to a gym's franchise, and that's what they were doing. It was a notepad for their diary.
Yep. and I think until you use something that's so easy and automated, you don't realize how out of touch or how you just go, what am I doing? Like, there's so many things out there that could have made this time easy or give me more free time.
Yeah, so if you start without those systems, it can be the first 2 to 5 years, which makes or breaks your business, because you've got to work out if you're putting systems in place to manage those things, or whether you're just gaining knowledge yourself. That means you then have that in your brain somewhere and hope that you don't lose it.
Yep. 100%.
Yeah. So I guess over time, that changes for you when you go from your first 3 years working on your own, and when you first decided to put on an employee, the types of systems you needed in place changed.
Yeah, what I needed.
Yeah.
Yep. Like I said, I was still in the franchise when I got my first staff member, so I found, like I said, you just quickly realise that I find spending money on systems outside of what VIP were offering me actually freed my time up, but then that time became, I could be on the tools longer to make money. So I saw it as something that's paying for itself.
Yeah.
But that's also was one of the reasons why after a few years of doing it, you go, well, I'm using all these systems and I'm paying for them on top of a franchise fee. Why the hell am I paying a franchise fee? So,
Yeah.
between, and the systems I talk about is mainly obviously your accounting and your scheduling systems. They're the two main things that I really found the right ones to use that worked for me. And it's just been a game changer in the business.
So comparing VIP and gyms, and I'm going to be very careful about that. I don't want to create any issues or any animosity between them. But the systems that are provided with the franchise do start to look limited once you start putting on multiple employees. So I think the biggest value you get is those startup systems and the leads from a franchise, which means also that once you have done 2 or 3 years, you probably don't have your leads switched on all the time, and you probably don't really need the startup systems in place anymore. You might still need some of it there, but a lot of that startup plus, like the list of equipment to buy, you don't need that after 3 years.
No.
But you start needing other systems like your employees manual.
Definitely. All that stuff, which they don't really supply you. Because I gather the franchise system is based around solo operators or maybe a small team of maybe one staff, I find. So they would rather, I don't see as why a franchisor would want to have a staff member or a franchisee with 4 or 5 staff. They'd rather have 4 or 5 franchisees.
Right.
So without that's the way I would say. I guess our customers are the ones we go and mow the lawn, where a franchisor, their customers is the franchisee.
Yeah, and I think that's an interesting point there, right? Because if you're staying with VIP while you're putting on employees, you're benefiting by having the leads there.
Correct. And I guess I had which I've got now, I had 3 trials on the road. So technically I've got 3 franchises, but paying 1 franchise fee.
Yeah.
So if you look at it that way, there's so many different ways to look at pros and cons, but I know the amount of leads, and this is probably the difference between VIP and gyms. Gyms had a lot greater leads come through than I know that VIP did. I might have got 1 a week through VIP.
Yeah.
So I found I was getting more leads just from in-house referrals than I was from the franchise.
So word of mouth, yeah.
Yeah. Or
that's interesting.
Someone just seeing you on the side of the road, especially when you got 3 trailers on the road, you got more access. People give out your cards and whatnot.
Yeah, that changes the value that a franchise offers you, because initially, if gyms is giving you more leads than VIP, then gyms is more valuable. But once you reach that point where you're going, okay, I don't actually want the leads, or vice versa, want to grow my team and have 5 staff, then the leads are really valuable again.
Yeah, I think also the leads are valuable where the new jobs that come in, you might be able to start upping the price and then offloading the ones that you sort of have been thinking about offloading for a while and swap and changing out your clients from that side of it. So there's advantages and disadvantages of it, but that's sort of the way I attacked it.
So when I started independently, I had to get all of my customers by word of mouth. I bought a small runs, which meant I had some customers to start with, but I had to learn how to chase customers from scratch and get my own customers, which means I didn't have that anxiety about going, if I leave the franchise, because I wasn't in one. Where will the customers come from? Well, I already knew where the customers were coming from.
Yeah. No, it's the hardest thing, I think, when you first start, or how it's the hardest thing to actually master, or not even master. No one's a master at it, but gaining new clients is marketing's a totally different part of the business that you don't necessarily. Even me, I still learn about marketing every day.
Yeah. for sure. It's something which I think we can all keep on learning no matter where we're at.
Yep, and you just got to try things, and that's what I mean. When you're a solo operator or a small team, if you're on the tools all the time, you don't always necessarily have time. And I think that's where, if you get to a position which I've worked hard to get to, that time becomes more valuable, and I'm spending time on marketing to generate business.
Yeah. I've been looking at marketing from the podcasting perspective at the moment, and it's one of those things where I've gone and spoken to a few people about it, people that should know more than me, and I'm going, this is what I'm doing, and here's all the different things I've learned and things I'm trying to combat and things I'm trying to get the most leverage out of with marketing. And a lot of the time I get the answer back, I think you're doing everything you can. And I'm like, that's not what I want to hear. I want to hear that I can turn another knob and...
What? Well, I've been watching these guys over where you are for ages. These guys doing the free mows. And I actually, last month, I said it was winter and I didn't have much time. I had a lot of time. I'm like, I'm going to go do a free mow and record it. And a local suburb that I work in, I'd put it out in one of these community pages on Facebook. I just sort of said, anyone looking for I'm offering my service for free in exchange for me able to record. And I said, I want the worst jobs. Like, give me something that's long. So I had heaps of people message me.
Yeah.
And it's, so I got about 4 or 5 jobs, which I went and did. Couldn't take them all on. But I can't believe the effect it's had, because I made the video and I posted it back onto that community page. And from that video, I've picked up about 8 or 9 paid jobs.
That's pretty good, isn't it?
People have gone, I've seen that. That's great what you've done to help out our local area, but I don't want you to come do mine for free. But can you give me a price to come do mine? Yeah. And it just blew me away that I wasn't doing it for that aspect of it, but it's so easy to do. And I spoke with someone, I've got a team that does a lot of my social media, and they said it's just a really good form, a different kind of marketing, but it's really effective.
Yeah, that is good.
And I'm still getting through some of those jobs now. But it's almost become a part of my business now. I've been posting one a week, and I've just seen the views of them go up and up every week.
Yeah.
So it's it's still learning.
That's great. So I guess marketing comes in many different forms, doesn't it? And when I first started business, it was clear that word of mouth was the best way to get new jobs. So if I was doing your lawn, your neighbour would come and ask me and say, can you give me a quote? Or, if I was in the street and somebody is driving past, they'd stop and say, hey, can you come to this address and give us a quote? And, they would see the quality of the work, or they'd just see your trailer and they'd go, oh, yeah, there's somebody, get them.
100%. I still find it's one of the best forms of marketing.
Yeah. Well, the other one I found early on was the Google My Business listing, which basically was just saying, hey, this is lawn mowing service in Kurrambong for me.
Yep.
And that's what we're offering. And then people would go onto Google, search for lawn mowing in Kurrambong, up pops Gary Ashton.
Yep. I guess it's about the Google rankers, isn't it, to get you higher up. So when people search, you're at the top of the list, I guess.
Well,
without having to hopefully pay.
When I first did that, Jim's wasn't actually putting in a lot of effort to lock down the suburbs with Google listings. So
it'd be tough with so many franchisees to lock down every suburb.
Well, back then, I was top of the listing for probably 10 years. And then, then it would say sponsored ad above mine with Jim's.
Yeah, right. Yeah, they're paying.
And then, then it's like all of a sudden can't find mine because it's not sponsored.
Something I've done, like since I rebranded, I've put QR codes on my trailers.
Oh, yeah. And
it's having a massive effect. Like, just as soon as I scan the code, it takes them straight to my website to fill out a quote request form.
Yeah.
So you could be stopped at the lights or wherever, and I just see people scanning my trailers all the time now.
Yeah.
So that's been a really good thing, which is working as well.
Yeah. Well, I've found that going through the different stages in business, that it went from word of mouth to things like the Google listing and Facebook groups, not Facebook Marketplace, but Facebook groups. Although I believe Facebook advertising is now a really good way to target specific areas.
Yep.
But for my business, I found more and more it's gone back to word of mouth. So chasing contracts larger commercial work. It's outside of the scope of what you can typically target advertising,
Yeah.
digital advertising to be. So it's about having a good Instagram page, and it's about word of mouth, and then having a good presentation in front of those board meetings.
100 if you get there.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I
word
do,
of
I
mouth
do
gets
monthly
there.
newsletters as well, and that's actually really effective.
Yeah.
You just basically, like I said, I've outsourced a lot of my social media stuff, and part of that is a newsletter once a month. And they hit me up what I want and what are you aiming for this kind of work at the moment, and especially leading into winter. Saying all the lawn renovation stuff, the weed spraying, and I was had inundated with people just saying, "I didn't know you did that sort of work. Can you book me in?"
Yeah.
So that's been another really good form of advertising, which is quite. You could do it yourself, and it does cost you very minimal.
Yeah, I think I've noticed this with even large commercial contracts I've been doing recently, is that they don't necessarily know the full list of services you offer unless you put that in front of them, and that's often the case. You see them getting other contractors in to do something simple. It's like, I can do that,
Yeah, I think that's important as well, making sure they know that everything you offer, so you're almost a one-stop shop for them. And I don't do, obviously, reticulation is big over here, but if something I can't do, I'll have someone in my phone that I can give them the number for.
Yeah.
So I'm still sort of got an eye over it, that they're just not calling anyone, and then that person might come in and then try to take that job off you for something, because they offer those services as well.
A lot of people have been asking about which brand of battery tool to buy, and I don't like to recommend one brand of battery for everyone or every situation. Dealer support and access to parts and service all play a big role in that decision. Some brands have better tools for specific needs or each product category. I've been using a variety of brands, and I endeavour to provide unbiased interviews on Aussie Lawn Stars with as many of those product brands as possible. I reached out to Ego Power Plus through the podcast because of how Barry supports the industry and Ego owners. Barry has impressed me with his loyalty to customers in providing support and listening to the needs of the industry, which has resulted in a full lineup of new commercial tools landing in Australia over the last 12 months that has positioned Ego as a leader in the commercial tool space for outdoor power equipment. Visit egopowerplus.com.au to see if they have the tools you need today.
Thank you for listening to Aussie Lawn Stars. Please remember to rate and review the show on the Apple Podcasts app or the player you use. Exciting new shows are released every Monday. Make sure you follow or subscribe to hear the next episode.